Okay, there have been a lot of like really just kind of small tweaks that have been kind of building up over time, and I wanted to talk about some of those things. And so this is going to be all about Final Fight backgrounds, the minutia, looking at every little pixel of Final Fight backgrounds. And so if you don't care, don't bother, fuck off. Um, so basically, like one of the things that's really been a problem with the original uh, version of Final Fight is that this whole kind of chapel area in the last stage has always been a complete fucking mess. And I want to go through exactly, just because there's probably no one else on Earth who even noticed any of this before, including anybody who worked on the game originally. Um, but basically, at the end of the last level, there are two little kind of chapel cubby areas, and I never really understood, why it was like this, why they did this, but basically, like you can see that the second little cubby area here, like this block basically, like this whole set of tiles is 256 pixels wide, right? And if we look at the first one, though, for whatever reason, I'll just copy and paste it to illustrate this. If you look at the first one, you can see that like there's actually something different here. See how it's 16 pixels less. See, it's actually different. So they elongated it for some reason. Um, and uh, and the thing is, the elongation really doesn't work because if you see right here, like see this area here, it's actually fucked up because there's this weird misaligned tiles here. Like it doesn't even make sense. Like there's just some weird like extra column here. Like it doesn't even work. The floor is all fucked up, where like the tiles aren't even aligned and things just get abruptly cut off. Like it's just all weird. It was always fucked up. It always made me angry. And even on the second kind of chapel cubby here, even this floor is actually fucked up if you really look at it, because if you really take like if you just basically just horizontally flip it and look at what's going on with it, like if you look at the floor, notice how, let me try to line this up. See how the floor tiles are actually fucked up and misaligned. Like they just fucked it up. They didn't get it right. Um, and there's some like weird erroneous shadow behind. Like I said, it's just all fucked up. It's always been fucked up. I've always hated it. The other thing that always pissed me off about this shit was just because of the number of, I mean, basically because of the width of these things. See how they couldn't just perfectly alternate this kind of dithering pattern, and so they ended the pattern kind of like offset on the right side of the chapel cubby. Even though typically when you do that kind of thing, just to keep it all kind of symmetrical, like you would put that kind of in the middle, so that it's essentially just symmetrical, and you can basically just kind of you know flip the tiles. Um, but in any case, it was all fucked up, right? Just all completely fucked up. And so I finally went in and actually cleaned that shit up, and you can see how in the new version, all that stuff has been completely cleaned up. You can just see kind of like the before and after here. So here's the original game, and then see how that's just all been cleaned up. All of the fucked up floor stuff is fixed. That weird extra column that goes nowhere has been fixed up. All the kind of floor shit has been offset basically 8 pixels, and that keeps the gap between these two cubby areas, the exact same width. So everything is nice. And you can see how that dithering pattern has been kind of centered, and so it's just kind of symmetrical now. So that's just all been like really nicely, cleaned up. And if I can find my fucking mouse cursor, yeah, see this too. See how the floor has been fixed, and that dithering pattern has been fixed, and it's just all nicer. Okay, so all that shit has just been cleaned up. Um, The dithering pattern on the column there too has been made consistent, with other things. Like I said, this has all been cleaned up. It's just all nice now. But that isn't the end of it. The other thing that has always been a problem with the original game is the window at the end of the game. So I mean, if we look at this, see, like here's basically what we had for the original window, right? Now the thing about this is this was one of these things where, again, a lot of people playing the game probably didn't even notice this. They probably didn't even realize like what idea was trying to be conveyed. But I mean, if you really look closely at this and see what they're trying to do, on the left there, that is supposed to be a reflection. Like that's supposed to be a reflection. Like that's not like part of like an outside building or anything. Like I mean, even though it looks really weird and there are all these like weird lines and everything, and it's all fucked up, that's supposed to be a reflection. And so this better illustrates it if we look at the original graphics. See on the right there how, like that is supposed to be a reflection of this far right column, in the window. It's supposed to be a reflection there. And the reason this didn't work is in the original game, the buildings in the background all just had a fixed position. But in my game, the buildings are actually a separate layer of, parallax that scroll. And depending on the aspect ratio and all that stuff, they can scroll a different amount because the screen width just isn't the same. And so you have like these lines here, which in the original game kind of lined up with where some of the lines of the building in the background were. But that doesn't always work in my game because, like I said, the buildings don't always scroll to the same spot. Like it depends on the aspect ratio that you're running at. So that was this all complete fucking mess. And so basically, what I've done here is I've isolated the window, I've separated it all out, and I've actually added, like a real reflection, a real alpha blended reflection in the window. And this just kind of enabled a lot of different, nice features where, because it's been isolated, it's actually something you can interact with, and can apply different palettes to and all that nice stuff. And so here is, in game is the fixed stuff. See how we don't have the erroneous fucked up column in this first cubby here. And see how if we go to the end of the level, see how like I can actually punch or attack the window, and it can use the same pane jitter keyframe animations as everything else in the game, because it's all been set up that way. And also, I mean, see how it's actually a real reflection now. It's a real alpha blended reflection. And so it just, it looks nicer. It's consistent with some of the other improvements that I made with the game. I think it looks pretty nice. And what I like about this is that it very clearly communicates what the original, artistic, idea for this thing was. Like it actually looks like the reflection that it was supposed to look like. Where I said before, I honestly think a lot of people who played the game, they honestly might not have even realized that was supposed to be a reflection, just because it was so kind of crudely implemented. So yeah, it's nice. I'm gonna let these guys kick my ass a little bit so I can show you something too. I'm gonna switch to Relento. Yeah, and the nice thing about isolating this thing too is you have this nice alpha blended thing going on here, and and you can see how I gave it like different palettes, so it can actually see how it can actually get burned now. So it actually has like a burn palette, like other shit in the game, and and of course even like the reflection is palletized, so even the reflection changes color. It's just nice. And to support all this stuff, I have made some nice changes. In previous versions of the game, each sprite basically had a limitation of 128 colors, to pick from, in its palette, and I've bumped that up. Like it allows more colors per sprite now, and that allowed me to do some of this stuff. But in any case, it's much nicer now. That's all been cleaned up, and some other nice stuff I did too is you'll see here if I when I knock this guy out. When I was going through, I also noticed that I didn't feel like the window explosion was big enough. There was enough debris when you knocked him out, so I beefed up the amount of window debris there when you knock him through. The other thing too, I'll just show briefly just to kind of highlight it. So this does get it consistent kind of with what we have, like for say the elevator background. See how in the elevator background I got rid of the shitty baked in shadows or sorry, baked in reflections from the elevator and actually have, like dynamic ones that can move independently of everything else, like in the background window, the elevator reflection. So now that brings the final stage in line with the improvements that I made here. So everything is really nice. So yeah, so I mean it's ultra minutia and everything, but I just wanted to do that because I've really tried hard to get rid of all the shit in the game that just like like I said, it just wasn't clearly communicating the idea that it was supposed to be. Like I said, I think a lot of people who played the original game, they looked at the elevator background and they didn't even realize that it was supposed to be a reflection of the elevator in the window. And just like in the last level, when they played it, they didn't realize that that was actually supposed to be a reflection of the that column or pillar there, and now I think it's really obvious. That's what's going on. I think it looks nice. Yeah, and also, I mean, a while ago I made a change to allow for the grate in the industrial entrance stage to be something that was something that you could attack, something you could interact with. And so yeah, I mean, like I said, that just kind of brings all this stuff in line, and I'm pretty happy with that. There have also been some other just kind of like just kind of minor improvements and fixes and everything that I put in there, but this was something that was kind of like really visible, and I just wanted to show that like that's finally been cleaned up, so that finally sort of looks like what I always wanted it to look like. So there we go.